G'day, this is Mike Smith. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to move an entire web hosting account from one server to another. So what this means is that a website has been hosted with one hosting provider, and for some reason we want to move the entire account, including the website, email accounts, and everything else from that host to another host. So this is illustrated on the left hand side is the source, and on the right hand side is the destination. Now you'll notice that on the left hand side we've got what you might recognize as a normal cPanel, which a website owner would be able to see with all of the normal tools such as installing WordPress or Joomla or whatever else, and also other tools such as File Manager, managing subdomains, and also managing email as well, email accounts here. So this is on the left hand side, this is a normal cPanel account. Now obviously when we take a backup here, we're going to take a backup of this entire account. When we transfer it to the new web host, that's not going to be in a form that can be restored from within a similar cPanel on the destination hosting account. This has to be one, I suppose you could call it one level up from a cPanel. So that would be either the web host would do this for you, or your web host reseller would do this for you. So this video is aimed not at website owners unless they are also a reseller. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so now the first thing that we're going to have a look at is what tools we're going to use. Now we're going to use this tool here, Backup, which as you can see in cPanel is underneath Files. This is not the same backup as, for example, a WordPress backup. A WordPress backup would only back up the web application WordPress, which is just one of the things that it might be installed on this hosting. It doesn't pick up any other applications, any other tools here, settings, and most importantly it doesn't pick up the email accounts. That's the normal WordPress backup. But this backup up here does. It collects everything. So we're going to use that tool on the left hand side. And now there are two options here. We can, when we generate this file, we can download it to our local computer and then upload it here. So on the right hand side I can restore with a file, and then I would click this button here and I'd browse on my local computer for the file which I created and downloaded on the left hand side here. Now I don't want to do that this way. It's possible to do, but the reason I don't want to do it is that these files, the sum total of an entire web hosting account, is going to be of a size that makes it difficult to upload unless you're on a very fast upload internet account, and I'm not. So I want to transfer this file directly across over the internet from this computer, this server over here, to this server over there. And for that I'm going to need to be a little clever about how I manage the backup on the left hand side, and then also how I move that file once it arrives on the server over here. So I'll explain that as I go. Okay, so our intention is to restore with a username on the right hand side, and what that means is that when we do the restore, it's going to be from a file that is already existing on this server over here. So what we need to do is somehow get this backup to copy directly over to this server, and then we can restore with a username from that file. Okay, so let's get started with the backup on the left hand side. So I'll click on backup here, and what we're going to do is ignore all of these partial backups. What we want is a full website backup. That's all of your website files and configuration, and you can use this file to move this this whole account to another server or keep a local copy. Alright, so I'm going to do that. Let's just press this button here. Okay, now let's change this, instead of the home directory, in other words, if I leave this home directory selected here, what would happen is that the file that's created would simply be stored on the server here in the root directory. And then I would have to download it and then upload it on the right hand side, which I don't want to do. So what we want to do is actually connect to a remote FTP server, file transfer protocol server. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to change this email address to my own email address so that I can be notified of this transfer. Okay, now here I'm going to enter the remote server details, the remote server, which is the IP address, the remote user, and the password, which I'll describe it in a moment. Okay, so now what we need here is to put a remote server, a remote user, and a remote password. These remotes refer to the destination server over here on the right hand side. The server address is the IP address of that remote server. Now this website at the moment, if I look at the cPanel homepage here, you can see it's currently being hosted on this IP address. That's the IP address of the physical machine, the server, where it is now, and I want to put it over onto this machine. So I need to find the IP address of this machine over here, and I can do that fairly easily. As you can see, these are all the accounts that are hosted on this server, the destination server, and the IP address is shared there. And incidentally, that is what is meant by shared web hosting. Okay, so all I need to do is copy that destination, copy that destination IP address and pop it into the remote server. Alright, so there we go. And then, pardon me, the next thing I need to do is choose one of the destination accounts. And I've created a, what you might call a dummy account here. This is just giving us a location where the file is going to be saved. So I'm going to use that user. So what that means, can you see there's a little space on the end there? Be careful that you don't have any errant spaces on the end of these. Okay, so now what that means is that this file is going to be generated on this server, and then it's going to be shunted across to the root directory of this user on the destination server. Now I need to pop a password in there, and I'll do that in a moment, but I just wanted to make sure that you understand we need to specify where this file is going to be copied. When we end up copying that file to this location, we're going to have to move it up one, as in the hierarchy of the file structure on this server. This copied file is not going to be able to be regenerated from within an account, because it's going to create an account, create a new account. So once it gets over here, we're going to have to move it up. Okay, so let me just pop the password in here, and then we'll generate the backup. Okay, so I've popped the remote password in. That's the password for this user account on the destination server. Alright, now so I'm ready to generate the backup, but before I do that, let's have a look at where it's going to end up. So in this user account, if I activate the cPanel for that user account, well, that's over here. Alright, so that's for homecenter.com. Okay, and so if I click on the file manager there, well, I've got that here. So this file from the left hand side is going to end up in this directory. Okay, so we'll generate the backup. Okay, now before I generate the backup, I've just noticed that I've made a mistake here in the remote user. I've taken the domain name. The username is actually over here, so I'm just going to fix that up. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so now we're ready to generate the backup, and I'm going to do this in real time so you can see how long it takes. Okay, so press that button. Okay, now the backup's in progress. Now because we're looking at this in a web browser, if you like, we're not really going to see an in progress. I'm just going to press this go back button here, and you may see Okay, so this file is being generated in progress, but if I don't keep refreshing the screen, I won't see what's going on. Alright, now on the destination server, in the meantime, I'm just going to go to the cPanel for that account, santa.com. See that, the home directory, santa.com, and in the file manager there. So this file should end up over here after it has been generated and then copied across. So let's just refresh the screen on the left hand side here to see if that file has been generated. No, it's still in progress. So I'm just going to have to wait until that happens. And the reason I'm doing this in real time is just to give you a sense of the size of these files, and you'll see its size when it goes over here. You probably wouldn't want to download and upload this file. A website that I moved just a day ago was over a gigabyte of size, and that's okay to download. It'll take about 10 minutes to download, but it took about 30 minutes to upload. You don't want to go through that. And then also, while this is happening, I should explain, we've taken a snapshot of this web host. Now this website is still live, so potentially it could still be receiving emails. People could be using the shop that's on there. So if the source site is likely to be, in use quite intensively, what we should really do is shut that website down. If it's a WordPress site, close the shop temporarily so that there aren't transactions in progress. We can't really do much about the email. Let me just refresh this again. We can't really stop people sending email, but the whole idea is to do this as quickly as possible. And the reason I'm recording this in real time is to show you that it's really quite important to be as efficient as possible. And of course, if we waste time downloading and then re-uploading this file, that's going to cause issues for emails that have been sent to this file since the snapshot has been taken. Okay, so it's still going, it's still in progress. Once it's no longer in progress, then the copy process starts, and then I'll need to refresh over here to see the file coming across. So hopefully this is not going to take too much longer. Okay, so that's no longer in progress. Now I haven't paused this video. That took let's say about 3 minutes to generate that file. And what's happening behind the scenes now is that file is being directly copied over the internet from this machine to this machine. So now if I start refreshing over here, you can see it's starting to turn up. But this file is likely not to be that size. That's probably a partial save over there. So that was 293. If I refresh this again, yep, see it's growing in size. So I need to keep refreshing this until I'm absolutely sure that the entire file has come across. So I'm just going to keep refreshing here. So it's 412. What you'll notice, this backup file as well, is it has some information in the file name which indicates its generate date time, and also the username for the account, which is going to be the username for the account on the destination server as well. Okay, let's have a look at this. 412.88. Just refresh it one more time. Okay, so that's stabilized now. So that file has now been copied across in its entirety. But the problem is it's not in the right place for us to do a restore, and that's what we're going to look at next. Great. Okay, now we need to keep this process going fairly quickly, because in the meantime people are continuing to send emails to this source site. We haven't got it set up on the destination server yet, so that's what we need to do. The first thing we need to do is move this file up one level so that it's not within a hosting account. It needs to be up one level on the server. And the way we do that is we use the terminal here. So this is going to get a little uncomfortable for people who are not used to working on the on the command line. This is quaint. Back to Unix commands. So ls means list. Okay, this is in the root directory of the root user. So I want to go up one level. cd, change directory, up one level. That's 2 dots. Now list. Okay, now I'm in the root directory one level up. Now what I want to do is go to the home directory there. So change directory to home, then list again. Okay, now these are the previous websites that I've moved across. So these are the files that our restore can see. So restore with a username. In this pull down box here, these are all the files that are in the correct place for the restore to work. And in the terminal, that's these red files here. Our file that we've just copied across is actually in that directory, santa.com. So I'll just change to that directory, cd santa.com. Okay, list that directory, and as you can see, this represents the same as this, right? So unfortunately we can't go any higher with the file manager than this home directory for this user account, but this gives you an insight into how this all works. So I need to move this file up one level here, so that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so how to move a file. It's MV for move in the space. Now I don't want to have to type that manually, but I don't have to because I can just copy that. Oops, copy. It's a bit tricky, isn't it? Copy that file name, paste it there. Yep, I've got everything, and then another space, and then I'm going to put a / and then home. So basically that is going to go move this file up one level to the home directory, parent directory of this directory. Okay, so if I list this directory, that file is no longer there, so I'm going to go up one directory, change directory, up one, list again, and now that file is there. Now which file was it? It was South Sea Artisans. That's this one on the bottom here. If I now go to this restore, I wonder if it'll find it. No, I need to refresh this screen as well, so I'll do that. Okay, now with a bit of luck it'll be here. Have I gone past it? South Sea Artisans, that's the file that I want to use, that one there. Okay, so now we're in a position to restore. Okay, now this video has been recorded in real time, so as you can appreciate, this website's still running, and we want to restore this as quickly as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and press the restore here. So that's happening there. Now while that's happening, once that's done, what I next need to do is go back to the domain management for this domain, South Sea Artisans over here, and change the name server settings. So that's not possible within cPanel. I need to go to the domain management account, and I'll do that in a moment. Okay, but in the meantime, this file's being restored. As you can appreciate, the time that we've saved not having to download and upload this file is quite significant, but it's still something that we need to do quite quickly. So while this is happening, I'm going to try to find the domain management account for South Sea Artisans. Okay, it's still restoring up there. In the meantime, I'm trying to find these other details. Okay, still restoring. What it's doing here is not only just unpacking that file, but it is literally creating another user account, and it's restoring not just the website but all of the email accounts and all of the contents there. So the zipped file, or the tarballed zipped file, was about 500 megabytes, just under that. When it expands, it's going to be, you know, significantly larger than that, perhaps even twice that size. So hopefully there won't be any errors. It's almost done. Okay, so that's done now. This warning here is not significant. It's okay. The restore has completed successfully. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is change the domain name servers, and I'll do that in a moment. Okay, so the next important step to this process is to change the name server settings so that the rest of the internet knows that this website is no longer going to be hosted on this server, rather on that server. And that's done in wherever the domain has been registered. That's different from hosting. So in this case, South Sea Artisans is registered with Crazy Domains, and what I need to do is change these settings here, the name server, and also potentially the A records, and I'll do that in a moment. But before I do that, I'm going to just insert one final step for these two servers. I'm just going to go back to list accounts here. If I refresh this list account, the new one should be here somewhere. Where is it? South Sea Artisans. Okay, I'm going to go to the control panel for this new account because that's been created now, and then I'm going to go to the file manager. Alright, so now I've got the file manager for the new account on the right hand side, and the file manager, I'm going to activate this one here on the left hand side as well. So at the moment these are identical, the same website in effect on both servers, and I'm going to create a file on each of these which is going to help me to detect when the domain name change has actually taken effect. So I'll do that next. Okay, so bear with me as I do this. I'm going to create a new file on this old server. I'm going to call it location.html. Create that file there. And then on the right hand side, I'm also going to create a new file with the same file name, location.html, but obviously it's a different file, right? Different file. And on the left hand side, I'm going to edit this file here, edit. I don't have to get too fancy here. I'm just going to edit it, and I'm going to call that, I'm going to type here old server. Yeah, save that. I think it might become clear why I'm doing this in a moment. Now I'm going to edit this this one over here. Edit, edit, and I'm going to call that. Not call it. I'm going to type here new server. So save those changes. Close that. Okay, so I've got a file called location.html in both of these. Just made a mistake. I should have actually put this in to the public HTML folder. Okay, so public HTML, location.html. Yeah, same over here. Should have done that. Sorry about that. Yeah, help me do that. So try that again. Okay, location.html. I'll just check that, view that file. That's the old server. Great. And the new server. You can probably guess why I'm doing this. Because the domain name is not going to change. The only way I'm going to be able to tell when this has happened is by looking at this location. So okay, so the domain is all right, so southseaartisans.com. That's the website. Now I'm going to browse to that location.html file, and it says old server, and I can refresh that. So now I'm going to use this as a tool to tell me when the domain change has actually taken effect. So now I'm going to change these. Okay, now so here I modify. It'll be vclass.com. That's actually the server up here on the right hand side. ns1 vclass.com and ns2 vclass.com. Yep. Okay, so that's fine. These are the new IP addresses of this destination server. Now the A records, sometimes you have to do it, sometimes you don't have to do it. I've noticed that depends on the source hosting account. So in any case, the A records are here. I want to modify these to the same IP address as I was using before. So I do that. Copy that there. Modify these. Updated. And then update those two. So now the IP addresses for the A records match the destination IP address, and also the name servers are correct up here. I'm going to update that. Okay, now that's going to take a little while to propagate throughout the internet, and that is the purpose of this file here. So I can just keep on refreshing this, and then when that says new server, I can be sure that the website, rather the domain propagation has occurred to the point where the website is now being served from the new location, and at that point in time the emails are also going to be served from the new location. So what I can do now is I can send this link, copy that, send that link to my client, and I can tell them when this keep monitoring this link. When this link changes to new server, you know that your website is now on the new server. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording here, and this will probably take a few hours. So in a few hours I'm going to come back and check whether this has actually happened. But that is the end of the process of moving an account from one server to the next. The only thing we have to do now is wait for these domain propagations to occur. Okay, so I'll come back in a couple of hours to check whether that's done. Well, now my test file finally indicates that the domain is being served from the new server location, and I can tell that here. That took 2 or 3 days to happen, and that's unusually long. I can trace that to the fact that this is registered at Crazy Domains, and it took 24 hours for Crazy Domains to actually even acknowledge the request. That's an interesting outcome. Usually when you change the name servers, you're changing it directly, but it seems with Crazy Domains there is an intermediate step. These changes here that we made were simply a request for Crazy Domains to then go on and change the name servers. So that was an extra delay in the process. But never mind, now it's been done, and so now there's one more step that we need to take. Okay, so because this took such a long time for the name server update to propagate, there is a very good chance that the email accounts which we transferred may have been out of date. So what we need to do now is compare the email accounts on the old server with the new server, and I can still view the email accounts on the old server even though the name servers have been changed and that the website itself is being managed through here. So as a gross error check, what we can do is look at the size of the email accounts to see if they have differed. This domain has not received any more emails, so all is well there. But if I were to observe a change in the size of these email accounts, then I'd need to go one step further again. So if I did see a discrepancy in the email folders, I can go to the file manager on each of these hosts. In the home directory, the mail subdirectory, and then below that the domain subdirectory, and then the current folder in both areas, I can actually directly compare the email messages. And if the old server has a few messages that didn't turn up on the new server, I can simply download those and then upload those into the new server, and then all will be well. So there might be a little bit of housekeeping that is required after the name servers have propagated. Okay, so that is the final step in moving a web host from one server to another. Thanks very much for watching.